What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down the perfect wide receiver stance and start that is going to be realistic and actually help you guys get off the ball faster. So this video is done by request, fellas. So if you guys have any kind of video feedback, any kind of suggestions for videos that you want to see going forward, you guys help keep the channel going, so we always appreciate the feedback. So don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section below. We really, really appreciate it, okay? So now, first things first here, the main thing about your stance is you obviously want to be front leg heavy. So the goal of the stance, the whole point of this video is to eliminate that false step that a lot of wide receivers take, right? So what a false step is where your front foot will go backwards, and then the first step out of there is with your left foot, but it's way shorter of a depth, way shorter of a stride than what it should be, right? So what Amari Cooper does right here is he shows that you want to have more weight on your front leg, and you want to have that front leg underneath you and be in a very balanced and relaxed stance. Now, the reason for that is when you have more weight on this front leg, you're less susceptible to pick it up, right? It's like the way I think of it is like, let's say you're standing on one leg, right? Like, so let's say you're standing on your right leg and somebody pushes you over. What's the first foot that's going to hit the ground to catch yourself when you fall? It's going to be the foot that's up, right? Because that's the lighter foot. So when you're in a stance, you want to be heavier with your front foot because you want the first step to be out of there with this back foot so you could explode straight forward. Now, why is this important? Because when you guys get older, like, and a lot of younger guys, they'll have coaches, they'll tell them, okay, go run this like 10-yard dig or go run a 15-yard comeback. But really, your routes need to be off of steps sometimes, right? So let's say you're running like a fourth outside step post. If your first step is like only like half a yard because you took a false step, that's going to screw up the timing and the depth of the route. They expect your first step to be like 2.5 yards up and you're exploding off the break without any false steps. And that screws up timing if you take a false step, and it screws up depth. So that's why it's important. Now, how we fix that is, again, like I said, have more weight on the front leg and close your back foot down. This is a perfect stance because you see how his back foot is not crazy wide. Because when your back foot is super wide, you have to bring the back foot up and then explode out when your back foot is super wide. So you want to make sure that it's underneath your frame, more weight on the front leg so we can burst off. Now, we're going to play this full speed, and I want you to watch how his feet kind of pivot. This is not a false step, and this is okay what he does off the line. You see how his feet pivot, but he does not take a false step. He's still able to get off the line fast and have some burst into his route. So when those feet pivot like so, he's not taking any false steps. He's just simply pivoting his feet. He's kind of like riding off of the front foot, like rolling off of the front foot, if you will, but pivoting that front foot is not bad. That's just to angle his stem and get him out of the route correctly. So we have to make sure that we can do that. Now, what should you do with your hands when you're facing either a press coverage DB or a zone coverage DB? Is it the same kind of stance? Should you have your hands a little bit higher? Should you be tense with your hands? What should you do with your hands to combat a press look when it comes to your stance? Now, before we get into that, fellas, I want to talk to you real quick about an opportunity we are having this offseason. We are traveling out to 8 different cities across the United States for 2-day-long quarterback and wide receiver training camp. So if you guys are local to Houston, Texas, Newark, New Jersey, Atlanta, Georgia, Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, or Los Angeles, California, and would like to come get some work in with myself and my staff of coaches, check out that very first link in the description below. I bring this up today, fellas, because this video, we're talking a lot about the details of the wide receiver position. You know, the stance, the start, what's going to make you more efficient on the field, and that's what we emphasize at these camps. I find that a lot of camps across the country don't do that. They just run guys through drills. They set up the million cones, the hurdles, the nets, and all that stuff, and they just have guys run drills, but there's no actual coaching going on. And that's the exact opposite of what we want to do. We actually want to coach you up. We want to tell you what you're doing wrong and how to fix it. And oftentimes, we also find that guys will go through drills, and then when they get to game situations like 1-on-1, 7-on-7, 11-on-11, which is the most important is 11-on-11, they don't know what to do. They don't know when to actually apply it. They can do all the drills, but when do you use it? And that's what we take pride in, and that's what we pride ourselves on. So if that sounds like something you guys need to get better on, you want to be coached up on, we are limiting spots to only 10 to 12 guys per position group because we cannot do that. We cannot coach up each athlete if we have 40 guys out there. That's not the goal of this. The goal is to help you guys get better. So if you guys want to come out to one of our off-season camps in one of these 8 locations, very first link in the description, fellas, we'd absolutely love to have you out. Now, let's get back to this video. So now when it comes to your hands in the stance, you don't want to have your hands super high and be tense, and you don't want to have your hands super low down by your knees, not ready to go like kind of by your side. You want to have them exactly where Cooper does. You want to be relaxed with your arms because it gives you more range of motion when you're relaxed with your upper half, but you don't want to have them super high and be tense at your traps because when you're tense, you cannot move. You literally, like, a lot of receivers stand with their hands up by their chest. You are so tense with your upper half, you have no range of motion. If that DB gets a hand on you, you can't really swat him off because you almost look like a T-Rex with your arms. You have to be relaxed, have them down, I say by your waist or by your quad, because now we can still react from this position if that DB were to shoot hands. And then obviously in zone, it doesn't necessarily matter as much. You still want to be as relaxed, or zone or off man, because this is off man. You want to still be relaxed with those hands. Just do not cross those hands. That's the main thing. All right, so I'm going to play this thing full speed again, fellas. Make sure to eliminate those false steps. We have more weight on the front leg. Back leg is not super far wide. If you pivot off the front foot and roll into the route, that is 100% fine. Just do not take a big back step with the front foot or step with the front foot before getting off the line, and do not take that false step with the front foot where you go backwards. Now, that false step also, I want to make this clear, it's not a prep step. When you guys have press coverage, I talk a lot about using a prep step, taking this like little small step with your front foot to give you some explosion into the release. That is not a false step. A false step occurs only when it's that zone coverage look. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job rolling into the route, bursting off with some speed, getting to the depth of the route, and then being able to create that separation. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Like we said, if you guys have any kind of video feedback, any kind of content that you would like to see next, don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section below, fellas. We always appreciate hearing from you guys. And again, if you want to come out and get some work in with us in these 8 locations this off season, very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.